Bungie was back this week with their This Week at Bungie update on the 27th of January 2022, and today I'm going to round up all the news plus a few little snippets that came out related to new and returning Nightfall loot, and also weapons rotating out of the loot pool, plus reputation changes across the playlist activities. Well, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Well, let's dive into the update from Bungie. So first of all, we have ritual reputations. So looking at the data for Season 15, Guardians were approaching the new Vanguard ranks differently than our models initially assumed. So according to our findings, players were running more Vanguard strikes than anticipated and were optimizing for the new activity streak at a lower rate as well. So we used the data from Season of the Lost to adjust the model to be more accurate with actual behaviour, and then retuned everything to bring the average gain more in line with Crucible. So for Season 16, expect the increased Vanguard reputation on completion, activity streak amounts, Nightfall multipliers and Nightfall completion quality bonuses. So Vanguard reputation gauge should be approximately twice as fast for most players, with the ability to optimise even faster by playing higher difficulty Nightfalls and utilising the activity streak even more. Well, similarly, Trials of Osiris was about 30% slower than anticipated, while not having an accelerated gain when higher ranks were achieved. So we felt like they were not valuing winning rounds enough, especially players getting 20 round wins and 7 ticket wins. We've added a small amount of Trials reputation at match end for every round won in a match, and that increases based on how many ticket wins a player has. So at the top end, each round won awards 21 reputation, up to 105 extra reputation a match, and this ideally speeds up Trials reputation gains by 50% or more for players who do not regularly reset their ticket in an attempt to go flawless. So while we were not able to give an accelerated reputation gain for higher ranks in the Witch Queen for technical reasons, look out for more news on that sometime later on in the year. And also, here's a quick preview of a returning Trials reward for next season, and there is another weapon in the pipe, but we're going to leave you to discover that when Trials returns with the Witch Queen. So Bungie then flashed up a picture of the Summoner, and that is a returning auto rifle, and also the really exciting news of a new Trials weapon. You know, what do you think we're going to get? Let me know in the comments, what archetype of weapon do you think we're going to get? Is that going to be a glaive, or is it going to be a grenade launcher, or is it going to be a sidearm? Let me know in the comments what you think. Yeah, so what about the things we aren't changing yet? So we're happy with the speed of Crucible reputation gain, though we may look at this alongside Iron Banner Avenger changes in the future. So Gambit reputation gain was about 30% slower than desired, but with the Gambit revamp coming in the Witch Queen, we have a Gambit revamp coming. Really exciting stuff. And they want a full season to analyse the playstyles and patterns before making any changes. And more details on the Gambit rework is coming in a future This Week at Bungie, so be excited for that one. We're also not making any changes to the activity streak system or the placement of the ritual weapon ornaments. We've heard your feedback on it and we don't believe it's currently meeting our design goals. It's intended to feel like a nice bonus for dedicated players, but rarely feels critical. You know, right now, it can sometimes feel too punishing to leave a ritual playlist, but this is being partially driven by Gambit and Vanguard reputations, moving slower than intended, combined with the ritual ornaments being on the second reset. So we want to see how the tweaks to Vanguard reputation changes playstyle and hourly gain before we make any changes across the board. And lastly, we know how annoying it is not to remember which reputation bonus is active by Thursday or Friday. So starting in the Witch Queen, when double ranks or rewards are active, those activities will have a modifier on the launch screen to remind you, so big things really do come in small packages. Well, next up we got Vanguard Ops. So as we discussed in an earlier This Week at Bungie, the Season 13 Battlegrounds activities have been added to the Vanguard Strike playlist, and this playlist has been renamed the Vanguard Ops. So as a reminder, the 4 new Battlegrounds coming with the season are Behemoth on Nessus, Oracle on Nessus, Hailstone on Europa, and Foothold on the Cosmodrome. I do think Behemoth is probably my favourite, though Hailstone on Europa is also really good too. The actual Battleground activity are the direct launch no champion version of Battleground, as these match the length and difficulty of most of the strikes in the playlist. So any bounties, quests, triumph or challenges used to reference strike now references Vanguard Ops instead. Well, next up we got the Nightfall. So we've been slowly iterating on the pressures and challenges that we apply each of the Nightfall difficulty ranks. So one big outlier was the strike specific modifiers with damage boosts and other effects that enhance boss attacks. So while some of these were cool and fun, you know, who doesn't like getting yeeted 5 miles by Cedia, you know, they were generally inconsistent and were pushing tactical play more than the intended build crafting. So we've removed these from Nightfall starting at Hero, We've also added a new style of burn called Acute, and that will increase the player damage taken from a specific element by 50%, and increase the player damage done by 25%. So most Nightfalls already had a 25% damage received modifier, so this will be an across-the-board increase of 25% in both directions for that element. Secondly, we're moving the seasonal strike modifiers we introduced in Season 15 from the Vanguard playlist to Nightfall. So these are unique buffs and boosts that aid you if you lean into the combat themes of the season. So for Season 16, these are themed to glaive and void usage. So these rotate weekly and appear on all Hero, Legend and Master Nightfalls. We look forward to your feedback on these as we continue to iterate. And here is a quick preview of some of the loot you'll be able to earn from Nightfalls next season, and they do look familiar. So we've got the Duty Bound, there's a 600 RPM auto rifle, and also the Silicon Neuroma. That is an aggressive sniper. We've also been iterating on how we communicate the shields present in a strike, so if match game is on, for example, like the Legend and the Master of Sectors, all Nightfall activities now have a modifier that lists the shields used. That's really, really useful. It's going to help me make my Nightfall videos every week, and hopefully that's going to be really useful to you too. Well, next up we got Lost Sectors. So when we introduced the Legend and the Master Lost Sectors in Beyond Light, we were forced to split the daily Legend and Master Lost Sectors locations, since there was no way to select difficulty within the public bubble. Well, thanks to some fresh technology built for the upcoming Witch Queen campaign, this limitation is now removed. So there's now a single daily Lost Sector, which has both Legend and Master difficulties available at the same time, selectable at the entrance, so both difficulties give the same exotic reward. Well, next up we got Crucible. So while we don't have specific changes to talk about with the Crucible or Iron Banner in this TWAB, we'd like to address the longer respawn times that we implemented in the 30th anniversary patch and then removed a few days ago. So when we originally implemented the change, we were hoping it would spread out the pace of combat and reduce the number of times players spawned in and were immediately killed by the same super that had just wiped them out. But despite the initial intention, feedback has shown this wasn't the best solution for the issue we're trying to solve. So when we looked at the data, we saw unclear mixed messages, partially because we implemented the change at the same time as large ability tunings and the start of the Dawning. So kills per minute was slightly down with the modes with the longer respawns. Team score delta went up a little, but we saw the same jump at the start of Season 15, and eventually it went away, and this is likely a larger player base coming in during the new content drop. So when looking at both feedback and analytics to see little definitively positive, it was obvious that the choice to revert Crucible respawns back to their original values. Well, that is it from the This Week at Bungie update, but DMG came out on Twitter afterwards to confirm a few weapons that are going to be leaving next season, so make note of these, because there's only a few weeks to get hold of them if you want to get them at all. So we've got the Igneous Hammer and Solar Scar. Those are rotating out from Trials of Osiris, so if you don't have the Igneous Hammer or the Solar Scar, I would definitely recommend getting that in Trials this weekend or over the next few weekends. Then in the Nightfall strikes, we've got a few weapons rotating out, so the Swarm, Shadow Price, Uzume RR4 and the Hung Jury SR4, so really sad to see the Hung Jury go. So make sure you've got good rolls of the Swarm, the Shadow Price, the Uzume RR4 and also the Hung Jury. I think the Uzume RR4 is a very, very popular one, and I think this week is going to be the final time to get the Uzume RR4, so if you haven't got it, get in that Nightfall and grind away. Finally, we've got Iron Banner, 4 weapons leaving Iron Banner, so the Multi-Mac CCX, the Time-Worn Spire, Guiding Sight, and also a fan favourite, the Steady Hand. So the Multi-Mac CCX, an excellent submachine gun. That is pretty sad that that one is disappearing. So hopefully there should be one more Iron Banner before we go into the Witch Queen. So if there is, make sure you get a good version of these weapons. Well, let me know in the comments what you think of the latest news from Bungie and also Destiny 2. And that is it for this look at the latest news. Let me know in the comments what you think. And for more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you soon.